Alright, I personally didn't think the debut of SmackDown Live last week was that bad, but the popular opinion as a whole among the YWC is that it was a flop, so they really had to turn it up in round 2, in week 2, show that they could recover in the minds of the casuals, etc., etc., etc. I do believe tonight they really, really did that, except for the ladies. Yikes. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your August 2nd SmackDown review. Really, really cool shit. Actually, coming out of this show, we got more matches and more SmackDown matches announced for SummerSlam than we do for Raw. That's a thing. They did put a lot more into the pre-show. We got not a lot more information per se, but a lot more content. They reminded us that American Alpha was going to debut tonight. We saw a great NXT highlight reel on American Alpha, which is great. We replayed Orton's attack on Lesnar. And we replayed Orton's attack on Lesnar on Raw last night. A lot. We found out tonight that AJ has a message for John Cena. We see some footage of John Cena at the Teen Choice Awards, which is cool. I like on Raw, they didn't really focus on John Cena. They focused on the accomplishments of Nikki and Brie Bella being the Teen Choice Female Athletes of the Year, whatever, which is really cool. This more focused on Cena and his hosting, which is great. We mentioned, once again, the accomplishments of the Bellas. Eva Marie is going to debut tonight, which, if nothing else, I know is going to put a smile on the face of JD from New York. Started listening to JD from New York the past couple of days, youtube.com/JD from NY206. If you're looking for somebody else to watch, go check out his... Why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? Fire-breathing Twitter machine. There we go. Goddamn phone, lost my train of thought. Eva Marie is going to debut tonight, which is great. Like I said, go check out JD from New York. That's where I was going with that. And we see a video package for Carmella for reasons. We start the show in the back, Bryan, Shane, and Orton, and it's kind of a mixed review. We're watching the attack again on Lesnar. Shane and Bryan were like, this is bad, there's going to be repercussions, rah, there's lots of security, but, good job. That was kind of awesome. So, mixed messages from his two bosses. I've decided that, remember, I don't know what the name, Santino Marella and what the hell was her name? Beth Phoenix. Phoenix, you think I remember. Remember when they called them Glamorella? I've decided, for the immediate future, I'm going to refer to Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon as #YesOMac. It's going to be a thing. Let's get YesOMac trending worldwide. Orton tells him he doesn't need security tonight. We all know all it takes is one RKO. Then they are accosted by The Miz. Nobody celebrated with me when I won the Intercontinental Championship like they did with Dean. Rah. Shane and Daniel Bryan, or YesOMac, tell them that there's going to be a new era triple threat match tonight to determine a new #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. It's going to be Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews versus Kalisto. Then Dean drops by, YesOMac, very briefly says, I'm going to go talk to my people and I'm going to address my #1 contender. And that's how we start the actual show. Ambrose comes out, tells the story of how he scratched and clawed his way to the title, rah. He says, I like being on top, I like being the captain of the Blue Brand, and talks about the SummerSlam match with Ziggler, calls out Ziggler. Ziggler says, I'm a big fan, you and I are a lot alike. Ambrose sort of becomes a dick. You're all show, I'm all go, I'm nothing like you, and you're not going to take this title from me. Ziggler says, I'm surprised you didn't mention the Kerwin White gimmick, but that is again tied to the Guerreros, and I can see why they wouldn't want to do that necessarily. But he says, I was a cheerleader, I was in a green jumpsuit, for God's sake. I crawled up as much as the rest of us, pretty much. And Ambrose, he says, I've been held down, rah, glass ceiling, rah. Ambrose asks him if he's done complaining. He says, this is your problem. I don't care what people say. They said I couldn't be champ. I can. You worry about your hair and your highlight reel. You should be worried about beating me. You're going to lose. You might steal the show, but you're going to steal the show losing. Ziggler gives more of his story, talks about his school accolades, talks about how he's been overlooked in WWE. See, here's the thing. The thing with Ambrose and Ziggler is they're both baby faces. So immediately when Ziggler became the #1 contender, it's one of them's going to turn heel eventually. And in this promo, they're both kind of dicks to each other. So it's kind of like they can't decide who wants to turn heel. Either that or they're taking the temperature of the crowd, which, if that is the case, I'm not entirely against that. Says, if you want to know the real me, I'm going to burn Brooklyn to the ground, and I'm going to walk away with your title. And Ambrose says, no, you won't. And it's not because you're not good. It's not because there's a conspiracy theory or a glass ceiling. It's just because your main problem is you're not as good as you think you are. He drops the mic and fucks off. And then we get the jump scare of the Wyatts. So we figure, okay, the Wyatts are going to have a match next. But no, Bray Wyatt is in the ring, hits a Sister Abigail on Dolph Ziggler, tells him he's worthless and unworthy of a championship opportunity, says, you stole this from me and I want it back. He says, if you really are the show-off that you say you are, fight me tonight, put your number one contendership on the line. Ziggler loses his shit. Ziggler lost his shit in this promo with Ambrose, which is great. I said on Twitter a number of times, where has this Dolph Ziggler been? But he loses his shit in the back, goes in and he talks to Brian, he talks to Shane, they're both apologizing, that's, uncalled for, right. He's like, no. He's like everybody else. He's like the crowd. He's like the locker room. He's like you guys. He doesn't think that I can beat him. Make the damn match. And twice, I didn't write it down, but twice throughout the night, Yes O'Mac tried to go back to him and say, look, man, you really don't have to do this. You don't have anything to gain. You've got everything to lose. You don't have to do this. Wyatt. What Wyatt did wasn't appropriate, rah. And he eventually tells Yes O'Mac to fuck off, which is great. But they make the match with the number one contendership on the line, and it's like, all right, go do your thing. Kalisto versus Corbin versus Cruz with Miz on commentary. Number one contendership triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Corbin and Cruz brawl to start, and this kind of made me laugh. Not because I'm insulting Kalisto, but you got these two big guys that want to brawl, and they just keep swatting Kalisto away, like the mosquito that JBL says that he is. Corbin throws Kalisto at Cruz as a weapon, shoulder block by Cruz to Kalisto. Corbin tosses Cruz in a suicide dive by Kalisto on both men as we go to commercial break. Corner clotheslines by both men. Corner clotheslines to both men by Corbin. Kalisto dumps Corbin out of the ring. Cruz hits this move on Kalisto, and the best way I can describe it is it's a snap Samoan drop. It's really impressive though, because he gets some elevation and some force into it, as you would expect from Cruz, because he's a fucking beast. Huge deep six by Corbin on Cruz and mudhole stomp on Kalisto. Cruz and Kalisto dump out Corbin, roll up by Cruz on Kalisto, which is a little heely, but it made me smile. Cruz gets the win. We're going to get Cruz versus Miz at SummerSlam. Don't know how I feel about that just yet, but we'll get there when we get there. Corbin, pissed off that he lost, beats down Kalisto after the match. Cruz comes back and saves Kalisto, which opens him up to a skull-crushing finale by The Miz. End of days by Corbin on The Miz for reasons, and that ends the segment. I like it and I don't like the fact that Corbin attacks The Miz, because you got the heel attacking the heel. I get it. It emphasizes the whole lone wolf mentality. There's no honor even among thieves type of thing. But somewhere down the line between now and SummerSlam, we're going to get a tag team match, and it's going to be The Miz and Baron Corbin versus Cruz and Kalisto. I really hope this doesn't mean we're getting Baron Corbin versus Kalisto at SummerSlam. But then again, like I said on Twitter, I forgot that SummerSlam is 4 hours and gets the WrestleMania treatment now. So it's Becky Lynch versus Eva Marie doesn't happen because they both come to the ring. Eva Marie's entrance last week as an introduction was great. If they're going to keep doing it going forward, it's going to get old really fast. I get it. She's a heel. It's supposed to get old. It's supposed to be annoying, but it just eats up time. And SmackDown is the shorter show. You can't do shit like this that just eats up time. They get to the ring. She does all her posing on the turnbuckle and whatever, and as soon as the bell rings, she says there's something wrong with her leg, The referee calls off the match. I figure this is going to be some classic heel 101 stuff, where as soon as the referee goes to call off the match, Eva would jump her. But she doesn't. The referee just calls off the match, and Becky's just standing there like, what the fuck? No further explanation, and we go to the back. Now, they've got a desk in the back for Renee Young. And instead of the typical backstage interview segments like we see, there's a desk set up like there is on the preview panels for the pay-per-views. And that is where Renee Young does all her backstage interviews. And it's awkward as shit. And even Dean Ambrose, when she interviews him later on in the night, just so he can talk some more shit, more or less. And he's like, I don't like this desk. I'd rather stand. He takes the earphone out of his ear and everything. It's, I know it's another way to set them apart from Monday Night Raw, but this was a miss for me. What I do like, another minor thing, is when they make their entrances to the ring, they get the graphic shtick across the bottom. They're going back old school to what SmackDown used to do, where their entrance placard is sort of on the side. It shows their name and their stats and whatever, but it actually shows a couple random facts about them. Not necessarily saying that the facts are vital. It talks about one of the divas being a former cheerleader. It talks about Dolph Ziggler being fluent in a couple of languages and North American Sign Language. So it's not always the best stuff in the world. It talks about Eva Marie being on Total Divas or something, some shit like that. But it's cool. It gives it that fight feeling. You know when you get the when you get an actual fighter in an actual fight and they do the whole tail of the tape shtick. That was one of the things that they did in TNA that I liked. There's not very many things that they did in TNA that I liked. But the whole tail of the tape, I think they called it the X Factors, because it was the X Division most of the time. But little things like this will set SmackDown apart from Raw, and it's kind of cool, because it's not what you're used to seeing. I didn't like the desk in the back, though. It's a little much. Apparently, there's a show going to be on the WWE Network after SmackDown, hosted by Renee Young, called Talkin' Smack. Now, I agree with Aaron Rift from No DQ, who said, I'm not watching any show called Talking Anything unless it's hosted by, oh, what the hell's his name? Can't think of his name now. Oh, the Nerdist. What the fuck is his name? Hardwick. Chris Hardwick. The guy that does Talking Dead. Now, if Chris Hardwick got hired by the WWE to do Talkin' Smack, I might watch it. But I already watched the pre-show with Lita and Jerry Lawler and Scott Stanford. Not going to be watching Talkin' Smack. Oh, yes. But this is a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, we go to the back where Renee Young is interviewing Carmella. Which is cool, because Carmella is new. You want to introduce her. But no, we can't do that, because Natalya Neidhart still feels the need to struggle to be relevant. So she has some really bad banter back and forth with Carmella. I'm awesome because I'm a heart, is pretty much the bulk of what she has to say. Carmella puts her in her place, and it's one of those... The segment ends with no definite finish, and it's like, I guess we're gonna see these ladies fight later on, so at least we're going to get a women's match, seeing as we didn't get Becky Lynch versus Eva Marie. For reasons, Becky Lynch left in the middle of the ring like, what the fuck, guys, and I don't blame her one bit. I feel so bad for Becky Lynch, it's beyond measure. Becky Lynch deserves better than this. Although Daniel Bryan was interviewed on the podcast that I listened to called Bear Hug It Out. You guys should all check it out. These are not people I know. I have no reason to plug them other than I think their podcast is awesome. They interviewed Daniel Bryan before the show here tonight, and he did confirm that SmackDown will be getting their own tag team titles and their own women's title, which is cool, as long as it's not a Divas belt, as long as it's not a butterfly. We're all good. Vaudevillains versus the debuting American Alpha. You gotta feel for the Vaudevillains a little bit. I mean, they're already in jobber territory. They're already in Ascension territory. But you know they're going to be an afterthought. With the... sorry, guys. With the debut of American Alpha. I don't like the fact... And they did this with Ascension, when they brought up the Ascension and they were comparing them constantly to Demolition, comparing them constantly to the LOD. I don't like the fact that JBL feels the need to constantly compare American Alpha to the Steiner brothers. We've already got people saying, look, they're so much like the world's greatest tag team, and that's a lot to live up to. I don't think you need to be comparing them to a team like the Steiners, who, again, have their place in history. Say what you want about Scott Steiner now being a fucking wingnut. I think he owns a restaurant now, doesn't he? Maybe. Shelton Benjamin's coming back, so you want to lose that world's greatest tag team comparison because one of them is going to be back, but you don't want to be comparing them to Steiners. You're going to do the same thing that you did to the Ascension. Anyways, Gable and Gotch start with a takedown and a gut wrench by Gable. Gotch works the arm, takedown and an armbar by Gable, drop kick by Jordan, knee by Gotch, top rope clothesline by Gable, and both Top rope clothesline by Gable to both of the Vaudevillains. There we go. Stereo dropkicks by Gable and Jordan, like we know they do. Mudhole by English and a double team by the Vaudevillains. Gable tosses out Gotch. Clotheslines and dropkicks by Jordan. Crazy suplexes to both men by Jordan as he does his, typical adrenaline up, hulking up, hot tag shtick that he does. That anybody that knows these guys from NXT knows the what Jason Jordan becomes when he gets the hot tag. Suplexes for every fucking buddy in the place. Grand Amplitude, which is apparently the name of that back suplex with the bridge pin combination that American Alpha does, gets the obvious win for American Alpha. Said it on Twitter, and I'll say it again here. American Alpha, you guys deserve to be here. Welcome to the WWE. What took you so long? AJ Styles has a message for John Cena. I didn't take any notes for this. AJ Styles comes out. Cena comes out before AJ can say anything. They do the typical John Cena and a heel thing, like, why the hell are you still here? Nobody wants you here, roddy rah. John Cena does the whole, I love this place, I love the kids, I love the parents, I love the families, da-da-da-da-da. And AJ Styles says, great, because you never back down from a challenge, do you? You and me, one more time at SummerSlam. Cena versus Styles at SummerSlam. That's all you really needed to tell us. There was a lot of talking, and it was bad. It was really bad. AJ Styles got lost in his... I have to believe AJ Styles got lost in his promo, because he went on a rant. He was trying to get to John Cena by making fun of the kids, making fun of the parents, etc. But he went on this long diatribe about the parents and the children being delusional, and kids wanting trophies and for just participating and all this. And I'll give him credit. AJ Styles has never been the best talker. I know he was really trying in this promo, and he's gotten better since being in the WWE. That's for damn sure. But I think the longer the promos go, the more he gets lost in the promo that he's trying to deliver. It's not a knock on the guy. You guys know I'm a huge fan of AJ Styles. One of the biggest debuts in WWE, one of the biggest names to come over to WWE that personally excited me the whole damn year was AJ Styles. The John Cena of TNA at one point, but you don't need to have him on the mic all the time. Yes. Fandango versus Randy Orton. This came about because of Randy Orton and Chris Jericho's promo at Battleground, when one of the digs that he took at Chris Jericho was, hey, if I came back and re-debuted against Fandango, how bad would that make me look? Fandango is apparently offended by this. Apparently, because mongooses are the enemy of vipers, they're going to channel the spirit of the mongoose and they're going to deal with Randy Orton. Yeah, let me know how that goes. But it wasn't a squash, surprisingly. I mean, it is what it is. They got all the security all the way around the ring, so you know what's coming. But Fandango versus Randy Orton. Tyler Breeze is in the corner of Fandango, obviously. Collar and elbow tie-up, jabs by Fandango, clothesline by Orton. The Orton Stomp. The Orton Stomp was so great. Just walk around the guy, step on all his joints. Don't make it pretty at all. It's fucking great. Vertical suplex by Orton and a dropkick by Fandango. Mounted punches by Fandango and a headlock. Back suplex by Orton. The rolling clotheslines. The snap slam. Breeze runs in, eats a snap slam from Orton before his troubles. Falls back out of the ring. Bring back the suspension DDT by Randy Orton. Oh, fucking yes. Cameras pan to the side where Brock Lesnar has very convincingly and very predictably made his way through the crowd. Orton, almost in reaction to Lesnar being there, snaps off a harsh RKO on Fandango. Lesnar jumps in the ring. Predictable F5. Predictable Shane and the security go fucking crazy and eliminate Lesnar. I think this is bad because if I'm totally honest with you guys, I think we got victory snapped from the jaws of defeat. We could have had the upset victory of the year. We could have had Fandango victorious over Randy Orton. No, we're not going to get that, are we at all? It's good. I was trolling on Twitter about that for a while. My boys Breezango are cool. I'm not taking anything away from them, but they do have their place. Oh, yes. Daniel Bryan has some banter with Heath Slater, who's still trying to get a job. Says, okay, you got a job next week. Heath Slater says, who's it against? And eats a gore from Rhino. And Daniel Bryan calls for medical staff because, yeah. If he's going to have an actual match, I'm kind of sad because this gimmick of them continuously using Heath Slater to introduce other people to the respective rosters. They used him to introduce Rhino last week. They used him to reintroduce Jinder Mahal last night on Raw. I think that could be a comedy gimmick that could last a while. If he came out next week and he says, I really want a job, sure, there's a great talent right in the ring right now. Shelton Benjamin hits him with the T-bone suplex. Welcome to SmackDown, Shelton Benjamin. But I guess they're cutting that off before it can happen. Carmella versus Natty also doesn't happen because Carmella does her opening shtick and Natty jumps her on the ramp and locks in the sharpshooter and tries so hard to hold on to some relevance and fails because it's Natty. Anyways, the main event is Bray Wyatt versus Dolph Ziggler with Dean Ambrose almost predictably on commentary. Dropkick by Ziggler to start the match, and a quick famouser. Wyatt bails. Clothesline on the outside by Wyatt, and Ziggler eats the rail. Stomps and jabs by Wyatt as they get back into the ring as we go to commercial break. They trade punches, they trade headbutts on the top turnbuckle as we come back from commercial break. Superplex by Wyatt, who rides a headlock. Jawbreaker by Ziggler eventually breaks the headlock. The headlock stays on for a long time. Rolling clotheslines by Ziggler. Corner splash, neckbreaker, shower of elbows. It's the 5 moves of doom of Dolph Ziggler, but it's fun and it's all good, and it's Ziggler and he's reinvigorated, which is all good and all wonderful. Uppercut by Wyatt and a vertical suplex throw and a running senton by Wyatt. Wyatt, while he's got Ziggler down, takes some time, walks over to the turnbuckle, and starts unlacing it slowly and smiling and, oh, I'm up to something. But because of this, he eats a zigzag from Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler then looks at the turnbuckle, finishes taking it off, and throws the turnbuckle pad to the floor, and almost falls victim to the Sister Abigail. Blocks the Sister Abigail, but Bray Wyatt is still able to pull off a Uranagi. Stomps and punches, and a little bit of a beatdown by Bray Wyatt. Wyatt eats the exposed turnbuckle ring that he started the untying of, followed up by a super kick, gets the win for Ziggler. And it's one of those, yes, fans have got to look at this in 2 different ways. Yes, we are aggressively building up Dolph Ziggler, but also you just buried one of the guys that we said last week we would have rather had instead of Ziggler. I don't know what that does for anybody, but for sticking with Ambrose versus Ziggler, this was a big win for Ziggler. This was a big stepping stone towards the match at SummerSlam. And for the functionality of that, I can accept it. I know there's a lot of people that wanted Wyatt to win instead, and this is like they stepped on his neck 2 weeks in a row. It is what it is. They've chosen their direction already. Ziggler gets jumped by Eric Rowan after the match. Ambrose comes in to try and make the save and fails. Sister Abigail on Ziggler by Bray Wyatt, and Wyatt and Rowan stand tall at the end of the night. This is odd. Your champion and your number 1 contender are being beaten down by Eric Rowan, who, let's be honest, by himself is a jobber, and Bray Wyatt, who just lost a match and who is not in the title picture whatsoever. Throw it down in the box below. I really would not mind at all if they threw Bray Wyatt into this scenario and made it a triple threat match at SummerSlam. I think it would ease a lot of people's concerns, a lot of people that were pissed off that Ziggler was put in this position. I think some of those angry people could be eased off a little bit with the inclusion of somebody like a Bray Wyatt. Eric Rowan, I could have done without, I'm not going to lie. But again, look at SummerSlam. Look at what we got to look forward to so far from the Raw side of things. We got Sasha Banks, Charlotte version 2. We got Rollins versus Balor for the yet uncrowned Universal Championship. We got Miz versus Cruz announced tonight for the Intercontinental Championship. Let's be real, we're probably getting Roman Reigns versus Rusev for the U.S. title over on the Raw side. Cena Styles 2 has been announced and confirmed tonight. Ambrose versus Ziggler remains as it is, and of course the cross-promotional match of Orton versus Lesnar is being built on both shows. It's all good. It's all wonderful. I will keep expressing and I will keep punching home my excitement for SummerSlam, because despite all the little bullshit things we're getting along the way, like Natalya and Naomi and Nia Jax and all this bullshit and the Pokemon Go crap on Raw, we are getting a pretty fantastic looking SummerSlam, because none of those things are affecting SummerSlam. It's good. We got 6 matches that we can look forward to so far, not to mention Asuka versus Bayley and Nakamura versus Samoa Joe the night before. That's going to be a fun weekend. Hell, I booked the Monday off. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm taking out. Bye, guys.